Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Daniel Mieling from Indiana University's Institute for the Study of Contemporary Anti-Semitism. It's my pleasure to walk you through challenge number one of this year's Datathon and Machine Learning competition on anti-Semitism. The Datathon is a unique learning experience that brings together high school and university students to work on a real-world problem using data science. In our case, that problem is the detection of anti-Semitic hate speech online. And what makes this special is that you don't just work on a dataset, you build it yourself, learn how to annotate it critically, and later on, you'll even train machine learning models using a labeled dataset. In this video, I'll focus entirely on the first part of the datathon. You learn how to scrape posts from X, prepare them for the annotation, and reflect on the definitions and biases involved. Let's take a quick look at what's ahead. So here's our agenda. We begin by going over what you need to participate. Then we walk through the dataset structure and challenge number one in detail. In the third part, you also learn how to use Access advanced search function, how to scrape tweets using the Bright Data utilities, and how to clean and prepare the data for the annotation. And lastly, we introduce you to our annotation portal, and we'll make sure you're fully set up to get started. The objectives of these sessions are you register on our portal, understand how to use the tools, and learn how to succeed as a team in both the annotation and machine learning phases. Let's get going. Before we do anything, make sure you've got everything ready you need. You need a computer with internet. We don't recommend using mobile phones. You need a Gmail account, an account on X, formerly known as Twitter. You also need access to Google Colab. And if you don't have access to these platforms and tools, pause the video now and make sure you have everything set up before we move forward. Additionally, you need to register on our annotation portal. You need to visit our GitHub page, and you also should read the full challenge description. These links on the bottom of this slide will be essential throughout the entire datathon. The datathon itself is structured in two phases. Part one, in which we will focus today, is the annotation competition. Here you scrape posts from X, apply definitions of anti-Semitism and hate speech, and collaboratively build a labeled dataset. Then comes part two, the machine learning phase, where you'll train and evaluate a model using a provided gold standard dataset. However, keep in mind today's video is all about part one, scraping, defining, and annotating. Let's walk through the specific steps you'll need to complete this challenge. Challenge one consists of a series of clearly structured tasks. First, you define your scraping focus. Are you interested in looking at specific hashtags, particular user groups, or controversial topics? Document not just what you've collected, but why. Second, you use Bright Data's interface to scrape at least 100 relevant user-generated posts from X. Third, you annotate your dataset using a structured definition of anti-Semitism and hate speech. And finally, you prepare a report that includes your annotation rationale, definitions, and the distribution of your labels. You can also earn bonus points by including an inter-annotator agreement score. That means having at least two of your team members label and share the same sample and calculating how often you agree on your annotations by using metrics like Cohen's kappa or Krippendorff's alpha. To discover interesting content and user accounts before scraping, we recommend using Access Advanced Search tool. In order to use the tool, you need to have registered an account on the platform already, and you need to go to the link on the right-hand side of this slide. Your goal is to collect a broad variety of different accounts. And to achieve this, we recommend using specified date ranges, keywords that will lead you to content with different levels of engagement. Remember, however, that this task is supposed to filter top posts with only high engagement metrics, meaning you not just want to focus on posts during a specific time range, but also on content that has at least 200 views or more. By using this filtering method, your technical goal is to collect a broad list of accounts and collect their URLs and save them in a spreadsheet. You'll need this spreadsheet or list in the next step, where I'm gonna screencast how we can use the URLs and the advanced search function in our browser. All right, after clicking on the right-hand side link on the previous slide, you will get forwarded to Twitter's advanced search function. And that function allows you to basically select all the relevant content for Datathon. Before you type in anything here, you have to have a conversation amongst your team members why you are interested in specific keywords and hashtags. You have to stick to those and justify them also in your report. So just make a pause here and maybe have a conversation what kind of content you're interested in. In my use case, I'm interested in three keywords: Jews, Israel, and Zionism. And I also want to additionally add a hashtag, which is Israel, and just make sure that you only include content that is English. We don't evaluate content that is non-English, and you also want to might want to use the search function because the dates function. And the dates function is interesting because it allows you to specify your query in more detail. I'm interested in users that generated content in the immediate aftermath of October 7, and therefore I have to specify this query a little bit further. So now the query basically includes content that was generated on October 8th, 2023, and then I'm also want to limit the displayed content from the search query until the end of the month. All right, so this should be already sufficient enough to click on our search query. All right, so now we can see the results of our query. On the top here, you basically can see our keywords again. They include Jews, Israel and Zionism, and the hashtag Israel. The language was English, and here we can see we queried content that was generated until the end of October 2023. So by selecting the user profiles, you have to make sure that the content from the users has surpassed at least 200 views. This is our minimum threshold. So when you scroll down that list, you want to always look at the views icon here from the tweets itself. And in that scenario, it already surpassed 64,000 views. And this allows you to basically click on the user's profile, highlight the URL, and copy and paste it into your selection of different users. Now you want to spend quite some time in deciding what users might be interesting for your data set, because the task is not just reaching 100, reaching the goal of 100 annotated posts. You also want to create a data set that is diverse, meaning you want to shed light on as many users as possible. And right, let's talk about Bright Data. After you are done with your previous step now, you have all the necessary URLs to feed the scraper. Therefore, you just need to click on the right-hand side link, which forwards you to the platform's dashboard. And this scraper allows you then to insert your inputs in the form of URLs. And all you have to do then is to specify the number of posts per user and start the collection. Let me just show how this works. All right, this is the dashboard that I just mentioned. And here you have to insert your input URLs by basically just copy and pasting the URLs from your spreadsheet, and then you specify the number of posts you're interested in. And in order to perform the process, how the scraper works, I just do a little live scraping. So I have here 4 users that I think might be of interest. And what I'm currently doing is basically I post the URLs from my spreadsheet into the inputs list. And I limit myself now to 4 URLs, and then I specify here the maximum number of posts from these users. And a good number to start with is 300 posts of each of those users. And then you're already good to go. You start the collection process. This might take some time depending on how many users you include in this list. You have to probably redo this because this is an iterative process. Your goal is to generate a data set that includes at least 100 posts that contain your keywords and hashtags. And as you can see, the collection time of my tweets was just 11 seconds. And now I'm asked how I want to download the content. And for my purpose, I choose CSV because CSV is the compatible format for our next step in which we are processing this data set. To get your dataset ready for the annotation, we use Google Colab, and Google Colab is especially suitable for those of you who don't have Python installed on your computers. And it allows us to upload our data that we just recently scraped from Bright Data. And you just need to follow the instructions of this slide. So you basically go first to Google Colab. The link is provided here on the right-hand side. You upload the Bright Data output, the CSV output that I just briefly mentioned, and then you run the code and then download the compatible CSV file again, which is then pre-processed to upload it on our annotation portal. To show you how the code works, I'll screencast the interface of Google Colab in just a second. Right, this is how Google Colab looks like. For those of you who are familiar with Python, this EDI looks pretty similar to Jupyter Notebook. And in order to use Google Colab, which as the name already indicates, it allows you basically to work as a team on the same code. It requires you to register an account. So in order to use that platform or tool, make sure that you are logged in to your account. So now we'd like to upload our data to Colab, and therefore we basically click here on this symbol, which shows a folder, and then we click here on sample data. Now, we don't have the data ready for running the code that is shown here in the cells. So therefore, you basically just drag and drop your data set from Bright Data into that field, which I'm doing right now. Hold on. So this is my data set, and I just move it into the folder of sample data. And as you can see here, it's now shown, and this is basically now the file name that we want to specify within the specific code segment. Just make sure that you don't do it as I just copy pasted it, because now you can see it includes two times CSV, and if you would run the code, it would show you an error. So first of all, you need to load your libraries. You basically just click on that, then you see a little check sign, then you run the next code cell. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce you to the code in more detail. So here it shows you a variable that includes a bracket in which several keywords are shown. And depending on your report, your keyword justification, you want to specify this line of code with your keywords and hashtags. So I included here a couple of keywords that I think might be of interest to basically pre-process the data for that keywords. And if that needs to be adjusted, just type in everything you'd like to filter. All right, so let's just run this code cell. And it already shows us that it took 0 seconds to run the code, and the parsing is complete now. We have filtered out 49 relevant tweets, and they are saved. Where are they saved? Well, now you find here a data set that is called parsed tweets filtered. And now you want to have, like, you can already download this data set if you want to use it for annotation purposes when you use, for example, software like Label Studio or Inception. However, this format is not compatible yet for our annotation portal, which has the great advantage that allows you to basically pull the data as live data again from X itself and shows the content in its original environment. And therefore, we want to run an additional line of code which basically loads in the data set listed here again, and then makes it compatible for our annotation portal for the upload. So just click here again on this sign, and now we are good to download the pre-processed data set. All right, now we are able to begin with our annotation process. However, before we even start with it, just make sure that you have registered and logged into our annotation portal. The link to the portal can be seen here, and this is already a screenshot how our portal looks like. Before you start with the annotation itself, please make sure that you appoint a manager in your team that handles the data set, creates a new project, uploads your sample, and creates an annotation scheme with a set of questions that you apply while you look at the data. And important, do not start with the annotation process before this schema has been fully created. When you're done with the annotation, you export the data set, and you're already good to write your report and your summary of challenge number 1. Let me just screencast how the portal works. All right, so now we are ready to upload your data and create an annotation scheme. Before we can do this, we have to log in to the portal, and I'll do this right now. After logging in, the portal asks you which role you want to choose. So first of all, we choose the role of the manager of your project. So thus we click on manager and we create a new project. So here you get asked how you name your project. So for example, this is a tutorial, so I named the project just tutorial. You can also include a small project description, but that's not mandatory. Very important is that you choose the dataset type. The portal currently works for 3 different types of content. We can upload content that gets pulled live from Twitter, TikTok, but we can also include text data sets that just contain solely text. So for our purpose, we pick here Twitter, and the portal just shows you how the data should be structured. You don't have to worry about this because we already pre-processed the data into a format that is compatible to the input that is required here. So we now want to upload our data, and therefore we click here, create a sample. Create a sample asks you then to name the sample. So let's say we name this sample tutorial sample. And then you're asked to choose a file. So you just click on it, and then you upload your data set to the portal. So now the past tweets for annotation is shown here, and you're good to go to upload it. After you have uploaded the data, you can see these are my existing projects. And this is the new project, which shows you that it is a dataset for Twitter. Then when it was created, you can also edit the project description or the sample, but most importantly, you want to now include an annotation scheme, and that can be done by clicking the questions. So here you can see it asks you to include a number of different questions. So you wonder, what should we include here? So before adding any questions to the annotation scheme, just have a quick look again at the challenge description on our GitHub repository. This document provides you again with all the details that you need to compete. And as you can see here, we already linked here a scheme that is available for the annotation process. If you don't want to use our annotation scheme, you are free to work with alternative frameworks. We work with the higher working definition, but if you prefer the Nexus document or the Jerusalem Declaration on Anti-Semitism, please see the links in this document. All right, so now let's just copy and paste the annotation scheme from our GitHub repository into the annotation portal. Therefore, you just need to create a new question, and then you go back to the portal. Here I pre-selected already the definition that we want to get displayed on our portal, and now we just copy and paste this question here. Don't worry, it looks a little bit strange when you are done with setting all the question for your scheme. The questionnaire will be shown properly on your screen. Very important here for the first question that just shows you the definition. You just click here on this little arrow, and you don't see it right now because it's not available as a menu on the screencast, but there's a little drop-down menu where you basically can choose between different types of questions. And for that purpose, I just use here the comment, and this question is not required, and then you submit the question. Okay, so now the definition is included, and we want to now proceed with the next questions from our scheme. So very important, over time, sometimes content disappears, and therefore we are always asking, is the post still online? And for that purpose, you pick here multiple choice and add here option 1, which is online, and option 2, which is offline. And you're already done with the second question. Okay, after setting up the annotation scheme, you have to go back to the previous menu where you get asked if you want to choose the role as a manager or an annotator. We want to now look how our scheme looks like, and therefore we click on annotator. Next, you can see all the existing samples that were uploaded to the portal, and this shows you already samples in which you're enrolled. So that's very important because now your manager basically provides you with a link that allows you to access the sample that they have uploaded on the portal. So if you are the manager, you should have received a mail after you created the new project, and that mail includes the sample token, which you basically then provide to your team colleagues. So let us just test our annotation portal. When you click on a sample in which you're enrolled in, you basically get shown the tweet on the top of the annotation scheme. And as you can see here, this is our first question that we just entered. It's the definition of anti-Semitism that we apply here. It asks us then, is this post online? We can already click here in the checkbox that it is online since it is shown here. Is this post anti-Semitic according to our working definition? For the sake of this demonstration, I click here on just don't know and leave this to you. And then, which I did not show you, is basically you have also to include the remaining questions here, which is question 3, question 4, and question 5. It's just a lot of copy and pasting for the manager of your project. However, all these paragraphs that are included in our working definition are not displayed here. And as you can see, you could technically do multiple choices, and that helps you maybe later when you summarize your data and specify what you have found in your data set. Then it also asks you how the content transports the anti-Semitic message. You can also choose here written in the text. You can also use audio if it's applicable here. So it's totally up to you what you choose. The more time you invest into the annotation, the easier it gets for you later on to write your report as a team. Very important here that is not that hasn't been discussed so far is this post calling out or reporting on anti-Semitism. This applies only if this tweet specifically or explicitly states that the content that is shown here is referring maybe to another user that expressed anti-Semitic attitudes, and the user you scraped basically indicates that this might be considered as anti-Semitic hate speech or conspiracy narratives. And if that applies, you basically just click here yes, and then you're good to go to the next tweet. Once your team is done with all the annotations, the manager of the project is supposed to go back to this role and click on the sample and then download the report. And after downloading the report, you're good to discuss your findings amongst your team members and write your report. All right, that's it for our today's presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope this walkthrough has given you a strong foundation to begin with Challenge 1. Always remember, this is not just a competition, it's an opportunity to grow your research skills, collaborate with others, and make sense of one of the most pressing challenges of our time.